It didn't click.
I think I heard it that time.
Yep.
Hello.
And we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to HTME. Today we got your boy, Taylor, and to the right I got...
Hala motherfucking dang.
Yes, sir. So this is going to be a real quick little sesh, nothing too crazy. So, but we still going to try to put some gems. If it's me and Hala, we always going to have gems, just
We're
like we got
always,
jewelry.
and we're always going to be philosophical with the gems.
We all got a little something. So, today I was gonna get a little artistic, so we're gonna get right into it. I was just in the College of Design, and right before that, I had to do a. Did you ever have to do like a study, like a Sona credit when you were undergrad?
No.
No? Okay, so basically, if you're listening, a Sona study is like you can just like volunteer to do like a research study, for like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. And I did one for like creative writing. And so that was only like 30 minutes. When I tell you, like, I was kind of tired up until then. And then once I started like writing, because the prompt was like, create a fictional character. We're going to give your character powers. That's tough. We're going to give your character powers, and then you need to write about your character being in certain situations. And it was just 30 minutes of just writing. And literally, my brain hasn't churned like that since freshman year of high school.
Wow.
And I was like, dang, do I just need to just start writing? Like, this is like, I just needed to start creating, but I need to start writing.
Yeah.
Like, literally just typing. And I think maybe even doing short stories, like even just doing like little, kind of like, how everybody was doing Wattpad stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I just need to kind of start doing some short fictional, kind of get the brain going kind of stories. Cause I'm like, and literally I woke up like after I got done, I was so motivated after that. So I was like, So now I'm thinking about in terms of like,
Well, tell the people what you wrote about. Who's your fictional character and what situations were they in?
Yeah. So the prompt, they gave you options for like what kind of race like your character could be. So I chose like my character was an elf, and then you can also select the gender. So they are a they them, and then the name I gave the person was Soli. So it's Souli, like soul, and then I just put I at the end. And then basically my little story was just like, he's a black elf with locks, and they live in a land, whatever. And Soli is kind of like me when I was younger, and social with family, but like kind of antisocial when it comes to like friends and stuff, yada yada. But loves to play, loves to be outside, loves to be active, yada yada. But Soli's really smart, but can't focus in school. So that was kind of like her little background.
Solely got undiagnosed ADHD.
So slowly, there was no joke there, but I had to.
That was a good one.
I had to do that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, like I added in like a crazy like a traumatic thing that happened where, and you're supposed to like in the prompt they're like, oh, write down something that happens and what would Soli do if this happens. So I just like kind of made up the fact that a meteor just like came crashing into the village, whatever. I was like, all right, cool. And then from the meteor, there was like some white.
Damn, that's really traumatic.
Yeah.
That's not. Did they survive?
Well, so I'm gonna get to that.
My bad.
So basically, once the meteor crashed into the forest started burning. But from the meteor came like some, they're white snake humanoid creatures, and they basically just kind of start blowing things down. They got guns. They got like spears and stuff. And, Soli and all her friends are like running. Well, all Soli's friends are running away and stuff like that. But they all get kidnapped. And then the next prompt is like, okay, describe a scene or describe an instance where Soli lose something like super significant to her. So I'm like, oh dang, I gotta start getting deep now. So I'm like, oh well, Soli got kidnapped. But Soli bites her rope to try to escape. She runs, but they capture Soli quickly. But Soli's friends are still kidnapped. And to make an example out of Soli, one of the leaders, right, the big snake guy, the big snake leader.
He kills her friend.
Okay, so this actually would have been a cool story if I could got to the end, and because that's what happens at the end. But
Oh,
so how it got there though was after Soli got captured after freeing herself, was the leader picks Soli up by her by Soli's locks, and takes a knife and he basically slits her chest. And so, but Soli's still alive. Soli's just kind of screaming in agony, blah, blah. And Soli's friends start like yelling, screaming, oh my gosh, yada, yada, yada. And then the guard points to the friends and he's like, guards, go get them, blah, blah, blah. He cuts their ropes, has them go against a tree, and then he has the friends get on their knees, and he has the guards raise their rifles or whatever. And then so he's like, no, please don't. And how I wrote it was just like the guard like raised his hand and then lowered his hand. And the guards fired. And that was like the end of the story. But essentially,
why? So, this theoretical story could have went any which way. It could have been the situations could have been less violent. Why did you choose to focus on a lot of they're not stereotypical, a lot of real life societal comparisons?
because I think it wasn't intentional, but also like keep in mind it's still a fantasy world. So the prompt was fantasy.
Right.
And it was like, and basically I'm just kind of churning out. There's a lot of more details that I kind of put in there, but I'm just trying to like make it quick and concise. But I think in the mind of like real world, and then kind of like even like with the snake people, like they're like white.
I know you used a lot of metaphors
yeah.
that can be related to current day situations and events. So you
Yeah.
made it from a fantasy to
Like a
some
real,
realism to it.
Yeah. And so I did that purposely. That situation wasn't specifically supposed to look like that, but now that you've drawn that conclusion, then you can make that kind of correlation, because like I do want some of that like correlation to be there if I were to write like real stories, because I love fantasy, like that's my favorite genre, but I think part of what makes good fantasy good is like the realism behind it.
It's like exaggerated realism. That's really
But it was probably like lasers and like
damn. I was scared for Soli. I thought you said when she got grabbed her hair with the knife. I thought they was gonna cut. No, I thought they was gonna cut her locks off, and that'd be the valuable thing she lost.
I purposely said across the chest because it's like, okay, like you can make an incision across the chest, but it might not be like crazy. It's just gonna be a long cut. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be blood, but it's not gonna be enough to
Kill her.
Unless the knife is like 10 inches long or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, make a long story short, that motivated me creatively. And so I think now, I'm gonna start trying to do more like short story kind of things, like some prompts or whatever. Maybe I'll just go on Google and like look at some like prompts or something. And then from there, I think how I want to do it is I want to do a short story and then I want to draw.
Like illustrations to correlate with it.
Because that was kind of like my motivation. Like after the fact, I was like, whoa, I feel like really motivated to do something creative now. Versus like when I feel creative, sometimes I can draw and then it's like gone. Like I don't know, I can lose the motivation like really quickly. So yeah. But so now I want to ask you, like, what fuels you if you were to do something creative? Like, and how do you stay in that mode if you do stay in that mode, like the creative mode?
Well, before I get into that, what was the research study? What are they analyzing? What are they trying to?
Oh yeah. So I think it's the debriefing, right? That's at the end. Basically, the purpose of the study was like to analyze. Oh, and then they give you a survey after you write like your creative short story. They give you a survey, and it's a bunch of like personal. How did writing make you feel? Why did you put this person in this scenario? Why did you say this? Why did you say that? So basically the purpose was to literally analyze the way you write and how that affects you mentally in your creative process. And so And then they'll ask you if you want to share your stories. Like after that, like it's like, hey, do you want to share your response? Whatever, whatever. And I was like, I ain't gonna lie. For 30 minutes, my little story was cool. I was like, I felt like I had a great short story. So the next person who reads that, they're gonna be like, yo, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Yo. So like, but no, like that was the whole purpose, was to kind of like analyze how traumatic events or events in people's lives can affect the way that they write creatively. And I was kind of channeling things that either was a part of me as a person, and then correlated them to soloing, or I thought about like those real life events and kind of channeled those into some of the story as well, and then kind of like just wrote the story. And then obviously I love like fantasy, so I was able to kind of throw in like some magical elements in there, and yeah. So no, that was basically the whole study. It was only 30 minutes, but it was fire.
Yeah,
That's fire.
that's very interesting. It's very cool to see how like say it for me.
Imaginative.
You can get. English is my second language. But that's very, very interesting. And it's kind of like you're daydreaming, like spiraling into all fantasy world and creating.
And that's crazy because as I was writing it, that's exactly that's how I read too. And it's crazy because reading is hard for me because I'm like I have to daydream. I have to like what's the word for it? Like visualize, like throughout each part of a passage, I have to like see what's happening. So it's kind of hard for me to even read now because it's like if I can't visually apply it to something, it's like it's hard for me to maintain it. So no, but
So that's cool that now you're gonna create the visuals for the story that you wrote, so you can
Yeah.
tie it all in. Well, for me, honestly, I recently became educated, or not educated, but I read a book, and it really opened my mind up to the idea of being a creative and how I used to categorize it for like art and like real actual creative things, art, dancing, music. Like when we think of creativity, our mind immediately goes to like those subjects and areas. But Rick Rubin has a really good book, and I think I let you read like a page or two, and you were like, oh, this is a really good book, where he discusses the fact that our entire livelihood is creativity. Like everything that we do has some form of creativity and originality to it. So first, I used to only consider myself an artist or creative when I would be painting and like creating my artwork. And like I would limit myself to that being my only time I'm like doing stuff like creatively. But I realized that I'm a creative every single day. Like I'm constantly creating things, and like cooking, for example, that culinary is an art within itself. Like now I find myself cooking all the time. So when it comes to like how I get in like that kind of drive and like have the motivation to like create, I feel like we do it day to day, but it expresses itself in different forms all the time. So I like had a phase where I was heavy on painting. Like I was like, I'm gonna become an artist. I'm gonna become a really good one. And I did a pretty good job, and I like created art pieces for my house, and like and I say it was a phase because now I have like no motive or drive to like ever paint. And like I had put it in my head that I want to start painting again, and that was like what 2-3 weeks ago, and I still haven't picked up a paintbrush or a canvas, anything. But so with that being said, I try to not like limit my arts and my creativity to just being paper and pen, or like paper and pencil and canvas. So now I feel like my creativity expresses itself more in like the entrepreneurial world, the scholar world. Like I'm constantly trying to educate myself, like get creative in terms of like the different knowledge that I'm gaining and stuff. I journal all the time. So when you say like you want to write more, I definitely think you should do like some internal journaling too, like whatever's in your mind roaming around, journal it, and you could probably create artwork out of that and like create that into a visual representation of how you feel at the moment. So yeah, I feel like I create every day. So I no longer feel like that, oh, I need to get into this mode, or I need to like have this to inspire me so that I can like actively create. So Yeah.
Do you feel like, and I know we got a couple minutes, but do you feel like when you create, is it, do you feel like it's good, or do you feel like you just want to express yourself? Like, is there any boundaries between you wanting to make good creative stuff, or is it just like you just want to get something made because you're feeling it?
I think when it comes to that's a really good question. When it comes to aesthetically pleasing art that I'm trying to create, then of course it has to meet certain standards when I'm creating it, and I want it to look a certain way. But when it comes to like my journaling, for example, like writing in that sense, I don't like categorize it as like this is good, this is bad, because it's just like internally whatever I'm feeling, I'm just writing it. But like, yeah, when I cook and stuff, I need everything to look pretty, like before I indulge in it. And that's just me. I just like pretty, I just like creating beautiful, appealing things, whether it be food, whether it be a nice outfit, whether it be my makeup, whether like whatever I'm doing in like those sense of like visual, like things that you can actually.
I get what I
You
get where
guys
you're
see
going.
where I'm going with this. You
Yeah.
finish the sentence.
Well, it's funny because like when I look at your canvases, I actually see like, because it's one thing to make things that are aesthetically pleasing, it look good in terms of art, and there's nothing like I actually see that you can be a pretty good artist, if not a great artist, because like you, like the things that you painted, it still requires some level of like depth and perception and like you still gotta have like good coordination and know how to I don't know, even like learn, even knowing how to paint is still like a skill in itself. So like even to just make those things and make them look good, like I still look at some of your work and I'm like, you could still sell this. Like even if you were just looking at something and were inspired by it, like I think you could just sell this as is, and this is good, good work. So
And you
like
see, that's the other thing. When I put money into the equation, I actually get unmotivated because I remember when I started painting a lot and people would like tell me like, yeah, you should sell this. Like, oh my gosh, I would buy that, da, 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 da. And I'm like, and I like remember one time posting on my Snap story, like I'm gonna start selling art. I never created one piece. And like
One Piece.
I'm very, what's the word? Like I'm very attached. Like I have an attachment to a lot of the things I create
Right.
that I cannot give them up. Whether it be I was gonna say someone offered me $1 million, I'd take that. But like, I feel like a lot of the things I create, they're for me. So when I start creating for other people, that's when I lose that motivation and like that drive. And
Yeah.
you guys won't get a good of a piece that I would make for myself, which is when you're like, then I shouldn't be selling it,
Yeah. Okay. But all right. Yeah. Well, we had to get a little artistic for y'all today because me and Hala are very multi-faceted people, and that's just one side of what we do. But we don't do it too often. But what we do, we gotta get a little philosophical, just a little bit.
And Taylor actually has an amazing hand for portraits.
I say that, and then I start drawing, and I'm like, I
You
don't
don't
know, man.
you don't even say it though. I see it. Like you can say that whatever you want, but like what I see, I love it. He's really good at doing portraits.
So is Hala. So stay tuned.
Portraits, you're crazy. I actually tried to do a portrait of someone. I threw that shit away. It was so bogus. Motherfuckers was lopsided.
But see, I did that like a year ago, and I was like,
Who is this person that I just drew?
yeah. But see, now it's gotten better though.
That's good.
But that's a different conversation. But
He's actually doing a portrait of me right now, or so he says.
gosh.
So one of these episodes, when he finishes and shows me, I'm going to show you guys.
we got y'all. But thank y'all again for tuning in to HTME. Speaking as your boy Taylor, and to my right I got.
Holla. And by the way, guys, I got a job offer today.
So we feeling good.
We're
got
feeling great.
New jobs, new motivations. So y'all know what it is. But peace, and we'll see y'all later.